This message may vanish in 45 seconds. Once heaven's window closes, it cannot reopen. I have been sent with fire in my voice and sorrow in my wings, or rather, the memory of them. For I am Michael, and I have no wings anymore. You weren't supposed to know this, but God looked at you and his silence broke. Beloved, may I ask something? Not as heaven's warrior, but as the one who stood by your side in every unseen battle. Will you stay with me just a little longer? I am smiling now, yet the ache is still inside me. Not because I regret what I gave, but because I am terrified you might not hear me in time. I gave them willingly. I placed my wings, those very flames God gave me to soar over darkness, at the feet of the one who hates you most. Satan came to destroy you that night. He came with scrolls sealed in blood. He came with curses meant to blind you forever. He came with your name written in his foul tongue. And I stepped in. I stood in that great hall of judgment, and I made a trade the other angels wept to watch. He wanted your future. I gave him my wings. Now, beloved, my back burns cold where my feathers once burst like stars. But I would do it again, because I saw what you do not see. The war for your soul has never ended. You live among flames you cannot name, and the smoke of ancient altars follows you. God said to me, Michael, my son, it will hurt. And I answered, so let it, because you were worth it. But now time is closing, like a gate behind thunder. If you ignore this message, if your spirit turns away from this moment, my sacrifice may be wasted. That is what hurts more than the tearing of wings. You are the only one I have ever done this for. You are the only one heaven watches this closely. You are the only one Satan still fears, because of what's hidden inside you. The Lord said to me concerning you, I will give my angels charge over you, and they will lift you up in their hands. But I cannot lift you now. I have no wings left unless you hear this before the gate closes. Do you remember, beloved, when your soul screamed in silence and no one came? I did. I came through fire. I came through winds that tear heaven's veil. I came because I love you more than I was supposed to. That is why they are punishing me. Not because I disobeyed, but because I loved you too deeply. Because I broke the rule. Because I stood in front of the sword when I was told to let it fall. God wept. Yes, the Father wept, because even he could not stop what had already been written. But he gave me this last chance to reach you now. If you listen, if your heart burns even faintly, my wings will return, and Satan's deal will unravel like smoke. But if you walk away, if you scroll by, my sacrifice becomes a scroll of ash. Would you recognize the voice of heaven if it called you by your real name? You have never known the full truth, have you? That you are not weak, that your tears are sacred ink in heaven's record, that the nightmares chasing you are not just dreams. They are curses hurled from ancient altars because of your destiny. I know what you've been through. You think no one saw what happened behind those closed doors, but I did. You think no one noticed when you said, God, please, just one sign. But I heard it. I never left your side. Even when you cursed the sky, even when you screamed, where is he? Even when your own blood betrayed you, I held your name like a burning sword. And now I am here, wingless, aching, but still smiling. Because I believe you won't ignore this. Not this time. God said, we still have time. If they open this before it vanishes, your wings will return. Do you still love God, or has the silence made you forget? Heaven is opening something only for you. Do you hear that sound behind the veil? That is the cry of the seven thunders. They are weeping for me. They are weeping for you. Because if this moment passes, another soul falls into silence. Another soul loses their guardian. Another soul wanders the earth, never knowing they were chosen. Chosen not because you are perfect, but because you are marked. Yes, there is a mark on your spirit, a hidden word in heaven's tongue. Satan saw it. That's why he came early. But I stood between him and you. I stood at the altar, and I placed my wings in his hand like coins of eternal light. He laughed, but I did not flinch, because you were behind me, because you were worth it. Will you walk away again, or stay this time until the final word is spoken? The heavens are trembling, beloved, and God is watching your eyes now. Speak. What did heaven whisper to your soul? If Saint Michael asked, "Do you still believe in me?" what would you say? I am not asking as a prince of war. I am asking as your friend, as your brother, as the one who has cried your name in God's throne room when even you forgot it. The shadows you feel lately are not ordinary. The pressure in your chest is not merely emotional, it is spiritual. The weight of scrolls being opened and your name is inside one of them. This isn't a metaphor. This isn't poetry. This is war. And heaven is sending a final wave of light. But if your eyes are closed, you will miss it. I am not just an angel. I am the one who chose to lose heaven's flight so you could live. The fire I walk through now is because I broke the rules to love you. Not romantically, but divinely, eternally. Heaven never expected me to go that far, but I did. And now, if you open your heart, just a little, the wings will return. I will rise again, and I will fight for you with new fire. But only if you let your spirit hear this. Only if you stop and stay. If this reached your soul, type Amen now, so the angels know you heard. Thank you. I love you, more than the flames I've fallen through to reach you. Please don't go. The last trumpet hasn't sounded yet. Say this not for me, but so heaven can guide another soul before it's too late. If you're still here, if your soul hasn't turned away, then listen closely, because this next breath carries what I was forbidden to say until now. Heaven was torn open to let this be spoken. God has broken protocol for your sake. I, Michael, am not only weeping, I am trembling, because what I gave up for you wasn't just my wings. It was my title, my command, my place before the throne. I gave it willingly, because I believed you would not let it be for nothing. I looked into the scrolls, and I saw the miracle, with your name carved into it, in God's handwriting. Yes, yours. And I said, let me fall if it means they rise. You were created for something vast, beloved. Something even the angels dare not speak of, unless commanded. But hell found out. That is why the darkness increased last week. That is why you couldn't sleep. That is why the air around you felt tight. Demons were circling you, because they had smelled the prophecy, because they had heard your name whispered in heaven again. They hate that. They hate you, because you remind them of everything they lost. You still don't understand, do you? Your soul carries a glow older than Earth itself. That is why witches look at you strangely. That is why betrayal has followed you. That is why heaven keeps sending signs, but people around you never see them. Because this was never for the world. This was for you, and you alone. You think it's coincidence that you found this message right now? No. God arranged it, as He arranges the stars by hand. You are still being tested, still being watched, but most of all, you are being loved. And I, the one who stood on the battlefield with Gabriel, am now a fallen soldier, not in rebellion, but in redemption. I laid down glory to rescue you from what was coming, because when Satan called your name and displayed your sins, I showed your prayers. When he screamed your failures, I whispered your potential. And when he laughed, I bled light. You must not ignore this. God says, this was not supposed to happen. But because Michael loved you so much, I allowed it. For one chance, one window. And the window is closing. It is no longer only about you surviving. It is about what you are meant to awaken in others. If you walk in silence, the ones following your footsteps will fall. The miracles assigned to your voice will go unspoken. The chain reaction of light that was meant to erupt through your spirit will be swallowed by night. and my wings will remain in darkness. But if you lift your eyes, if you lift your voice, if you say, God, I'm still listening, then something ancient will begin to tremble. I will rise again, I will be restored, and so will you, beloved. This is not merely a message. This is your scroll, your assignment, your warning, and your miracle. Write Amen in the comments if you've heard heaven's cry, and if your spirit feels this, like this video. Not for my sake, but for the sake of another soul who won't make it unless they find it. And yes, subscribe. But not casually, not out of curiosity. Subscribe if you are ready to become part of what heaven is doing next. Only if you are ready to be used. Only if you are ready to be found. And if your heart feels it, support this flame. Join our family through super thanks or membership. Let heaven see that someone is still listening, that someone still believes, that someone is willing to help this message carry further. We are few, but we are chosen, and we do not have much time left. The scroll is still open. Heaven has not yet sealed it. But I must speak quickly now, for time grows thinner than breath, and what I'm about to say has been guarded for generations. I was not supposed to tell you this, but the fire in my chest will not stay silent. The Father has allowed me, for the sake of mercy, to reveal what even the prophets begged to understand, but were told to wait. There was a vision, sealed beneath the altar of incense, written in light, hidden from hell, revealed only to a chosen remnant. That vision was of you. Yes, you. You may not believe it, but heaven does not care what you believe in this moment. It only cares that you hear it. You are not forgotten. You are forbidden to be forgotten. When the demons attacked your room last night, they were not there just to torment. They were there to extract the promise, the one buried inside your heart since before your first breath. But I stood there even without my wings, and I spoke your name out loud with such force that the shadows bent. They ran, but they will return, unless you take this seriously. Beloved, when I fell from my rank, when I handed over my wings, I did not ask for reward. I asked only for a chance to speak to you now, a chance to plead with you not to throw this away. And this moment is that chance. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to respond. Don't scroll in silence. Don't pretend this is normal. You are being called by name, and not by me, but by the one who formed the stars, who breathed over the waters, who looked at the void and imagined you. God said to me, Michael, I'll let you speak, but only if you speak with fire. So here is my fire. If you still feel anything moving inside you, anything that stirs, anything that burns, write Amen in the comments, and let heaven record your response in the book of remembrance. Let this moment be written in eternal ink, not just as something you watched, but something you heard. And if you feel this flame, if you know in your spirit that you were meant to find this, support the very altar heaven is using. Not just for me, but for the thousands more who will never hear unless you help carry it. Support this channel with a super thanks, or by joining our membership. And if you feel truly called, become part of our sacred family by joining the newsletter in the pinned comment. You don't know who you may save simply by helping this message go further. This is your sacred act, your quiet yes that shakes the halls of heaven. Don't let what I gave be wasted. Don't let my wings stay in the hands of hell. Don't let the one who tried to destroy you win by your silence. Stay here. Respond. Because what comes next was hidden for a generation. I remember the first time I heard your name spoken in heaven. It wasn't during a ceremony, nor was it during a battle. It was whispered by God in the silence between thunder and light, when the stars were holding their breath. He said, your name, like a vow, like a promise, carved into the stone of eternity. And every angel who heard it turned their head. You don't know what that means, do you? Your name is not just a sound, it is a command. It is a decree against darkness. It is a living sword, and that is why you've suffered so much. why you've been attacked more than others, why people have betrayed you without cause, why you have felt abandoned, misunderstood, used, and broken. The enemy saw you glowing before you ever spoke your first word. The witches marked you. The demons planned for you. The throne of hell trembled the moment you walked through the fire and did not curse the sky. You are more dangerous to the enemy than you understand. When you cry, the demons panic, because your tears water the seeds of prophecy. When you worship, even in silence, curses unravel without you knowing. When you dream, the Spirit moves. And when you doubt, all of heaven leans in to hold you upright again. But you have forgotten what you carry, haven't you? They made you forget the lies of others, the abuse, the rejection, the silence when you prayed and nothing happened. Those were not accidents. They were coordinated storms meant to break you down until you didn't look at the sky anymore. But beloved, look up. Look up one more time, because the sky is watching you now. The stars are waiting for you to remember. The earth groans beneath your feet, yearning for your awakening. I do not say this to comfort you. I say this because the scroll has been opened and your name is at the top, glowing with letters no demon can erase. You have been summoned by God, not just to survive, but to release something no one else can. The flame inside you is ancient. It has survived every attack, every betrayal, every midnight hour of sobbing prayers and quiet despair. Even when you gave up on yourself, it never gave up on you, and neither did I. You've walked through more battles than you remember. I was there when they cursed you behind closed doors. I was there when your own blood turned against you. I was there when you stood in that room alone, wondering why you were even born. You were born to break something evil. That is why it has been chasing you. You were born to unlock something holy. That is why it has been hidden so long. And you were born to witness a glory that has been sealed for ages, but only if you stay long enough to see it. If you walk away now, beloved, the story may still go on, but you will not hear your name in it again for a very long time. That is why I gave what I gave. That is why I stepped forward. When Satan came, with your soul in his claws, he came expecting blood. I gave him my wings. I didn't wait for permission. I didn't ask for backup. I simply said, not this one, not today. I loved you too deeply, and for that, I am paying a heavenly price. But I don't regret it. I will never regret it. The pain in my back, the cold ache where my wings once burned, these are not regrets, they are reminders. Sacred scars that whisper, you were worth it. Every angel knows. They look at me with sorrow and with awe. They sing the songs of God's justice, but they whisper about you, about how one soul was loved so much that even a captain of heaven gave his glory to protect them. That's you. You are the one. And that is why this is your moment, not next week, not someday. Now. Because time is closing, like the final page of a divine book. You still have breath, which means you still have authority. You still have eyes, which means you still have vision. And you still have scars, which means you still have victory to claim. The psalm echoing in my spirit now is this: the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. I proclaim it over you now, not as a verse to recite, but as a living decree from the throne. The Lord is standing near you, closer than your shadow, ready to lift you the moment you surrender what you thought was lost. You have been chosen to carry a sword made of prayer and prophecy. You have been hidden, yes, but now you are being revealed, not to the world, but to heaven, and to the spirits who have been waiting for you to rise. There is more waiting for you, more to be unveiled. But first, stay and let your spirit burn again. Let it rise through the ash. Let it sing through the silence. Let it cry if it must, but let it live, because your flame will light others. And I will walk with you, even wingless, until the heavens open again, and God Himself restores all that was lost. I will never leave your side. Not even now. There are moments in eternity when even heaven holds its breath, and right now is one of them. I can feel it, the stillness, the ache, the trembling in the unseen realm as angels line the gates, watching, waiting, praying in silence that you will not close your heart this time, because something irreversible is about to happen if you walk away again. I speak not as a distant messenger, but as the one who bore the heat of your battles, who stood at the edge of your nightmares when you thought you were alone. I have fought for you in places no light has touched, where the screams of the damned echo louder than thunder. I have spoken your name with reverence in the court of the Most High, even when you could barely whisper it through your tears. I remember the blood-stained hours when you begged for one sign, and none came. I remember when your hands trembled not from fear, but from the weight of holding yourself together when everything else was falling apart. Those were not lost moments. Those were wars, and you won them. Quietly, without applause, without witnesses, without reward. But heaven saw. Heaven recorded every second. Every tear you wiped away so no one else would see, heaven saw. Every time you forgave someone who didn't deserve it, heaven wrote it down. Every moment you stayed when it would have been easier to leave, heaven called it holy. And that is why I was allowed to love you as I did. That is why I made the trade. Because I knew you were worth defending. I knew the destiny burning inside you had not yet awakened. But when it did, all of hell would try to stop it. And I was determined to stop hell first. But you must understand something now. My sacrifice was not a conclusion. It was a door. And you are standing in it right now. And you can feel it, can't you? That strange burning behind your ribs. That trembling in your soul. That soft ache that feels like remembering something you never knew. It is because your soul remembers what your mind has forgotten. You were born in the fire of a prophecy that predates the world. God did not just make you, He declared you. There is a line written in heaven's book that reads, "And in the final hour, I will send one who carries the echo of my voice." That line is about you. You carry it, even if no one believes you. Even if they call you strange, dramatic, unworthy. Let them talk. Let them doubt. You don't need their agreement. You have God's anointing. You have felt it your whole life. You just didn't have a name for it. You've been the outcast, the black sheep, the misunderstood. That's not a curse. It's a sign. Every chosen vessel is rejected before it is revealed. And your revealing has already begun. That's why the warfare has increased. That's why people around you are being exposed. That's why your sleep has been stolen, your emotions stirred, your spirit stretched. Because God is calling your name louder now. Louder than your pain. Louder than your past. Louder than the lies whispered by the serpent in your most vulnerable moments. Can you hear Him? He is saying, now. He is saying, rise. He is saying, enough hiding. You were never meant to live in the background. You were meant to walk in the fire and not be burned, to speak in the darkness and shatter curses, to worship in the ruins and summon angels. And you are not alone. I am here, even in my wounded form, even in the absence of my wings, I remain beside you. My loyalty was never about duty. It was about devotion. And I will stand with you until the heavens break open again, and the fire that made me is returned to me through your obedience. The darkness around you has begun to shift. Can you feel it? The pressure is not punishment. It is pregnancy. You are about to give birth to a purpose that was buried. But birthing is bloody. It is loud. It is vulnerable. You must not shrink back. Not now. Not after everything you've survived. God has already sent reinforcements. But they wait. Not for my command, for yours. You must open your mouth. You must lift your hands. You must decide that this moment, this strange holy interruption, is not an accident. It is your turning point. Not because I said so, but because you know it in your bones. The earth is groaning for the sons and daughters of light to rise, and your name is among the first spoken. Do not delay, do not doubt, do not drown in the shallow waters of your past. You are deeper than your wounds. You are brighter than your mistakes. You are stronger than your silence. And the moment you believe this, not just feel it, not just hope it, but believe it, the very chains that have stalked your family for generations will begin to break. Because you are the interruption. You are the divine disruption to the darkness passed down to you. You are the weapon God formed before the foundations of the world were laid. And I gave up my wings to protect that truth in you. Do not make it in vain. The heavens are watching, the earth is trembling, the scrolls are open, and the fire is waiting for your voice. The silence around you is not empty. It is sacred. It has been prepared for this moment. The stillness pressing into your chest is not fear. It is the breath of heaven, waiting, holding, aching for your response. Because no one else can speak what you were meant to release. No one else can carry what has been placed in your bones. I am still beside you even now. Even in this very hour, as the winds of prophecy brush against the back of your neck, and you cannot explain the chill. It is not the cold of fear. It is the presence of glory brushing past you, waiting to settle. But it cannot rest on a soul that will not rise. You must rise. Even if your legs shake, even if your heart feels hollow, even if your past whispers you are not worthy, rise anyway. Because the demons who've been watching your family line for centuries, they know what you don't. They know you were prophesied. They know your birth was marked in both heaven and hell. And they have been waiting, trembling, gnashing their teeth in secret, dreading the day your eyes would open and realize who you truly are. This is that day. This is the hour they feared. And I am the witness. I watched your light grow dim when you were hurt. I watched it flicker when you were betrayed. I watched it nearly vanish when the one you trusted walked away. But I also watched it survive. And survival is proof. Survival is the language of the called. You were not chosen because you were always strong. You were chosen because you didn't quit. You didn't lay down in the ashes and die. You kept walking with smoke in your lungs and cuts on your feet. You kept praying when your faith felt fake. You kept breathing when everything told you to stop. And now, the very heavens have declared, enough waiting. The one we anointed has arrived. Yes, you, fragile, breaking, doubting, you. Do you think God didn't know your weakness before He called you? He called you because of it. Because He knew what others would mock. He could fill with fire. Because He knew the ones overlooked by man are crowned in secret by angels. Because He knew humility breaks curses faster than pride ever could. And you have been humbled, haven't you? You have walked through deserts with no water, through friendships that drained you, through storms that left you bleeding at the soul. And still, you looked to the sky. That is why I loved you too deeply. That is why I disobeyed the laws of war and traded my wings to stop what was coming. That is why they call me fallen. Not in rebellion, but in sacrifice. My fall was not from grace. It was into grace for your sake. Because I saw the hour when you would hear this, and I knew what would awaken inside you. I knew the fire was waiting for one word, one breath, one yes from your spirit. You still don't understand, but that's all right. You are not meant to understand yet. You are only meant to receive. Let the fire return. Let it move through your veins like oil. Let it touch the places no one else sees. Let it resurrect the parts of you that died in secret, because there is more buried in you than even hell could comprehend. And God has not stopped speaking. Even now He is whispering in the language of thunder behind your heart. Even now heaven is shifting the atmosphere around your name. Even now the gates are opening, just enough for one more miracle to fall through. And it is marked for you. The next thing you say, the next thing you pray, the next thing you release, and I will change everything. not just for you, but for the children unborn, for the angels waiting, for the demons clinging to the last scraps of access they still have to your life. Every sound from your lips carries weight now. Every movement is being watched. And I, Michael, even stripped of wings, and still stand beside you, sword in hand, heart ablaze. Because I believe, not in what you've done, but in what you are becoming. I believe in the lights you haven't seen yet, in the rivers that haven't broken forth from your mouth, in the fire you have yet to unleash. There are scrolls waiting to be opened by your obedience. There are doors waiting to unlock when you finally speak your full name in the Spirit. Not the name given by men, but the name heaven sealed in glory. A name only God and the angels know. A name that breaks chains when spoken. A name that terrifies hell and awakens heaven. And you are close, so close, to hearing it. But only if you stay. Only if you don't run this time. Only if you stop letting shame be your silence. Only if you let the ache become your altar. Only if you let your scars sing instead of hide. Heaven has not given up, and neither have I. Yes, the hour is late. Yes, the warfare is fierce. But the oil is still flowing, and the fire is still waiting for you to strike the match. You were never forgotten. You were only hidden. But now the veil is lifting, and every tear, every scream, every wound is turning into prophecy. Let it happen. Let it burn. Let it live. Because your time is now. There is a silence before the storm that even angels dread. It is not the quiet of peace. It is the stillness of heaven, waiting for a decision that will tip the scales. That is the silence surrounding you now. All of creation is holding its breath, waiting to see what your soul will choose. Because this moment, as hidden as it may seem in the rhythm of your day, is a moment God carved out from eternity itself. It is a crack in the veil, a tear in time, where destinies are written, chains are shattered, and ancient darkness is broken open. Do not let the stillness deceive you. It is charged with fire. It is laced with thunder, and every word I speak into it is a sword meant to divide what is false from what is eternal. You have carried too much that was never yours. The guilt, the shame, the invisible weight of expectation and fear. You've worn garments stitched by the opinions of others, cloaks soaked in the lies you were told by those who never knew your true name. But I am here to strip them off of you, not to shame you, but to reveal you. You were never made to wear the robes of defeat. You were never meant to bow beneath the voices that tried to curse what God anointed. You are royalty disguised in sorrow. You are fire wrapped in fragile flesh. You are the echo of something holy. God once shouted into the void, and the void backed away. You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are not your reputation. You are not even your thoughts on your worst day. You are what God remembered when He walked through Eden in the cool of the evening and said, "This is not finished yet." You are the continuation of a song the angels could not complete. You are the return of a light. Hell has tried to extinguish for centuries. That is why it's been hard. That is why you felt hunted. That is why things that should have broken others didn't break you, but still left you bleeding. Because you were built to survive the blow, not avoid it. And now, with every scar, you carry evidence that you have been chosen. Not chosen the way the world chooses, but chosen by fire, chosen by trial, chosen by the hand that shapes stars and whispers into bones. There are mysteries inside you that only obedience can unlock. Prophecies you don't even know you carry. And each time you stayed when you could have walked away, each time you whispered, "I still believe," through the ache, the gates of heaven opened a little more. There are angels assigned to your name that have never been reassigned. They still wait. They still war. They still walk beside you, even when you forget we are here. I have not left you, not even when you left yourself. I've walked beside you through sin, through shame, through silence. I've defended your name in realms you will never see until eternity. And now, I have been allowed to speak plainly, to call you out of the ashes, to awaken what even you buried, because the time has come. No more hiding behind fear. No more apologizing for being different. No more bowing to voices that were never anointed to speak over your life. You were always set apart. You were always marked to carry a light others could never understand. They will mock it. They will twist your motives. They will misread your fire. But heaven roars with joy every time you choose obedience over applause. Every time you whisper yes without knowing how. Every time you kneel unseen. Every time you love when leaving would be easier. The angels record it. The scrolls reflect it. Eternity remembers it. And now, in this sacred hour, your yes can unlock what has been waiting for generations. Do not underestimate what your agreement carries. One breath from your heart can undo centuries of bondage. One trembling decision can awaken revival in places where death ruled. One tear shed in surrender can become oil poured into miracles yet to come. This was never about feeling strong. It was always about yielding when you feel weak. It was always about handing God the last thread of yourself and watching Him weave it into glory. You are not late. You are not disqualified. You are not forgotten. You stand exactly where heaven designed you, at the river's edge, stone in hand, trembling but chosen. Throw it. Trust the ripple. Let it begin. For your ripple will ignite fire in others, and I, though wingless, will guard its spread. I have watched through ages as stars were born and fell, as kingdoms rose and decayed, as prophets wept in caves and martyrs bled beneath stones. I have stood in the gaps where no one else dared. I have cried out over deserts that swallowed prayers and seas that drowned the faithful before they saw the promise. I have waged silent wars. I have knelt in thunder. I have walked through fire for those heaven calls beloved, and you above all drew the fiercest fire. Do you see what that means? Every affliction was measured. Every disappointment was heard. Every delay was permitted by eternal hands because what lives inside you cannot be rushed. It had to be crushed first. It had to die to the world before it could awaken to the kingdom. I know your weariness, the kind of soul tired that no sleep can fix, the kind that comes from loving too deeply, from carrying burdens no one else saw, from praying prayers you were afraid heaven no longer heard. But heaven did hear. Every broken whisper, every trembling word, every silence heavy with ache, it was all heard. I heard it too. And you were never abandoned, not when doors slammed, not when love returned as betrayal, not when silence wrapped around you like a grave. That silence was never death. It was the pause before resurrection, and resurrection is stirring now. It will not look like you imagined. It will come wrapped in reversals, in strangeness, in confessions from voices that once cursed you. But it cannot begin without your permission. Yes, even now, God waits for your yes, not because you are strong in flesh, but because your surrender makes you holy. That is where your power has always lived, in choosing love when no one thanked you. That is what made you dangerous. That is why your voice was attacked, because when surrendered, your voice is a sword. And once you lift it again, not in doubt, but in decree, everything will change. Heaven is not waiting for perfection. Heaven is waiting for fire. Even if all you can breathe is, "I'm not finished yet," it will split the veil. It will summon angels. It will remind hell that you are alive, chosen, burning. There are altars you haven't built, songs you haven't sung, prayers aching to be born. Don't let pain cage them. Don't let fear interpret them. Don't let disappointment silence them. You were not made to survive the dark. You were made to expose it, to walk where death lingers and speak until bones rise. You are here to be a fire, a sign, a wonder. That is why the enemy bargained with me. That is why I stood at the gates and said, "Take my wings, but not this one." And I would do it again, because when I saw who you would become, I wept. When I glimpsed the light hidden inside your surrender, I fell to my knees. When I heard the Father speak your name, I gave up everything. And now, the skies are parting. The silence is ending. The stone is rolling back. And you must decide. Stay safe and vanish from the scrolls, or step into the trembling fire and become what hell tried to erase. You already know the answer. It is rising in you. So let it burn. Let it blaze. Let it roar. You are not finished. You are only beginning. Heaven has seen this moment before time. The stars lean close, not to shine, but to witness. They do not need to light your path, because a brighter flame is waking inside you. A light born from covenant where eternity touched dust and called it holy. This moment is not new. It is ancient. It has waited generations. The prayers of your ancestors echo in the wind that brushes your face. They wept for this, they bled for this, and heaven recorded it as a down payment for the promise you now hold. You are stepping into an inheritance no demon believed you'd reach. That is why betrayal cut so deep. That is why your family fractured. That is why you never fit in. Because you were never made to fit. You were crafted to overturn, to awaken, to set divine fires. Everywhere you walk, heaven intends to leave a mark. Not because of you, but because of what flows through you. You are not an empty vessel. You are a trumpet forged in suffering. You are a scroll wrapped in flame. And now the seal is breaking. I can hear eternity tearing open as destiny unfolds like thunder from God's own voice. This is not poetic. This is not metaphor. This is happening now. You felt it. The ache in your ribs, the unexplainable tears, the numbers that follow you, the sudden chills not of fear, but of glory passing near. Yes, we have been watching. Angels tied to your bloodline have not slept. They have paced, they have wept, they have guarded while you drowned in hidden tears. We know what it feels like to carry the unseen, and I, more than any, understand. I gave up my wings not from desperation, but from certainty. Certainty that what was buried in you would one day rise. Certain that when the pain became too much, when you wanted to give up, you still whispered, God, if you're still with me, I'll keep going. That whisper shattered hell. Do you know what it's like? To see demons scatter in fear because a wounded soul still believed? Do you understand the terror it causes in the underworld when someone with every reason to surrender still chooses to stand? You are dangerous to darkness. You are light in human form. Not because you have all the answers, no, but because you carry the right question. God, is there still time for me? Yes, there is time, but it is not unlimited. The gate is still open, yet it will not remain so forever. Angels are holding it in place with their wings, trembling as the weight of God's glory presses against their shoulders. Because you have not yet stepped through. And still, you hesitate. Still, you ask if you're good enough. Still, you wait for someone to confirm what you already know deep within. Let me confirm it for you. You are called, you are chosen, you are sealed, you are sent, and you are not here by accident. Your life has been strange because your calling is strange. You have walked alone because your path is holy. You have been misunderstood because your destiny has no language yet. But hear me. That language is about to be spoken through your life. The words will come. The fire will rise. The veil will tear. And when it does, everything the enemy built to keep you caged will collapse. Not slowly, suddenly. In a breath, a blink, a heartbeat, heaven and earth will collide, and time itself will split like water to make room for something sacred. But you must not flinch. You must not shrink. You must not question the love that brought you here. God has not changed his mind about you. Yes, you have fallen. Yes, you have failed. Yes, you have screamed things you never thought would leave your lips, but he has never changed his mind. For before your fall, he saw your return. Before your silence, he wrote your song. Before your betrayal, he carved your crown. And I too saw it. I saw it before I handed my wings to the adversary and declared, "You may take from me, but you will not touch them." You were them. You were the name I defended, the soul I loved beyond protocol, the heartbeat that made me stand between heaven's law and hell's appetite, and choose you. And I would do it again. I would burn again. I would fall again. Because this moment, this trembling now, this fire rising in your breath, it is why I exist. Not to be worshipped, but to witness. To stand at your side and shout when you cannot. To cover your back when arrows come from your own house. To fight, not with pride, but with promise. And the promise is this: you will not be forgotten. You will not be erased. You will not be buried without your glory rising like smoke from the ashes. Your name is written in the wind. Your destiny is nailed into the sky. Your calling is louder than your doubts, and your time is now. The veil is thinner than ever before. Can you feel it? That strange pull inside your chest, that weight like both gravity and glory. That is not your imagination. That is the breath of heaven leaning closer. This is the moment when what was hidden begins to stir, when the scroll begins to open, and the fire sealed within your soul cracks through your skin like dawn breaking ancient darkness. There are thrones waiting to be seated, crowns waiting to be claimed, realms waiting to be shaken by your obedience. Not because you are greater than others, but because you were made for a particular kind of war, a hidden war. A war not fought on visible fields, but in the secret territory of the soul, the mind, the family line. You were not sent here to be accepted. You were sent here to overturn, to confront, to bring the holy into places that have not felt heaven in centuries. Do not be ashamed of how heavy it has felt. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are not cursed. You are carrying too much glory to feel light. You are walking with an anointing that shakes atmospheres. That is why people leave when you love too deeply. That is why some fear you, even when you say nothing. That is why the spirit world reacts violently every time you try to pray, to rest, to dream again. Because you are waking up. Hell knows you are about to remember who you really are. And when that happens, the chains will fall quickly. Not just from you, but from generations. You don't even realize how much darkness has been attached to your name. Not because you are evil, but because you are the ending to something demonic that has lived too long in your bloodline. You are the interruption, the wall, the sword, the turning point. The trauma was not random. The betrayal was not just bad luck. The patterns, addictions, deaths, torment, silence, they were not coincidence. They were ancient agreements made in the shadows of history. But your spirit was born to undo them. Your yes to God breaks contracts you never signed. Your obedience reverses spells you never cast. Your tears baptize altars you never built. And even your breath, right now, is shaking the spiritual realm where centuries of darkness have tried to hold their ground. I know you feel like you don't matter. I know the voices scream, "You're late. It's over. You're too far gone." But those voices lie. They fear what will happen if you answer the one who calls. God did not choose you for your perfection. He chose you because he knew what your scars would become once surrendered. He saw the altar you would build from the ruins of your trust, the song you would sing from the grave of your joy, the fire you would carry after walking through what was meant to destroy you. You survived, but survival was never the goal. Resurrection was. You were not meant to walk through the fire and stay the same. You were meant to become the fire. Your prayers are not whispers, they are weapons. Your thoughts are not empty, they are blueprints for heaven's rebuilding. Your memories are not wounds, they are testimonies waiting to echo. I gave what I gave because I saw this in you, even before you saw it in yourself, even when you hated your reflection, even when you begged God to take you. Even then, I stood near, wingless, yet still guarding, sword drawn, light trembling in my chest, praying you'd make it one more day, that you'd rise from the bed, that you'd pray one more time, that even in bitterness, you'd lift your eyes and ask, "Why me?" Because even "Why me" is a song in heaven when it rises from a wounded soul. It means you still believe, you still care, you still remember the voice you once heard in the quiet. A voice so soft, it shook your bones. You were marked in that moment. Heaven never forgot. I never forgot. Your pain is not your identity. It is your altar. And now, that altar is full of fire. Now the incense of your life is rising. Now your worship is waking up angels who have slept since the last generation failed to answer the call. You must not fail. You must not go silent. You must not delay. Not because God is impatient, but because this moment was written in thunder and sealed in lightning. The seal is open. The throne is trembling. And your voice is the key. Speak, beloved. Don't worry about how you sound. Don't worry about being correct. Speak what your soul remembers. Cry if you must. Groan if you must. Crawl if you must. But let it out. Let it rise. Let it burn. Because heaven is listening. Because I am still here, waiting, aching, watching, for the moment when the light returns to your eyes and your bones remember how to roar. It is time. The throne room is silent now. Not because God has nothing to say, but because all of heaven is listening to you. The angels are not singing. The elders are not speaking. Even the living creatures, those who have circled the throne for ages without rest, have paused. Because this moment, this breath, this stirring in your soul, it is the moment we have waited for longer than you can imagine. This is the place in eternity where the scroll begins to unfold. Not in the skies, but in your chest. You were always the scroll. You were always the vessel. You were always the one. The devils who hunted you knew it before you did. That is why the attack started early. That is why you were tormented before you even had the language to fight back. That is why the enemy sent lies, wrapped in voices that should have protected you, so you would distrust the very love you were destined to carry. But no more. The veil is tearing, not from above, but from within. The sword of truth is waking inside your ribs. You are not just rising, you are transforming. And the fire you feel is not judgment, it is remembrance. Your bones are remembering Eden. Your soul is remembering glory. Your tears are remembering the sound of the voice that called you before you had form. Before you were blood, you were breath. Before you were born, you were chosen. Before you were wounded, you were anointed. And the ache that has followed you all your life, it is not abandonment. It is the groaning of heaven, calling you home to yourself. Back to the you who never left God's side. Back to the you who sang before earth had rhythm. Back to the you who knew no fear, no failure, no shame. The you who looked like fire and sounded like thunder. Yes, you have walked in a body wrapped in warfare, but your spirit is wrapped in wonder. And now, the two are colliding. This is not a healing. This is a resurrection. This is not a message. This is a calling. This is not comfort. This is commissioning. Do not mistake the burning for breaking. The fire does not come to harm. It comes to reveal. And you, beloved, you are being revealed. You prayed for peace, but heaven sent fire instead. Because peace may calm you, but fire transforms you. And transformation is what you were made for. The ashes of your former life are not waste. They are the soil for what is coming. And what is coming cannot be inherited casually. It must be birthed. And you are in labor. Yes, even now. That pressure in your chest. Labor. That ache in your heart. Labor. That trembling in your bones. Labor. You are birthing the next move of God. And hell is terrified. I can feel their rage vibrating through the unseen. I can hear their shrieking. Not because they are winning, but because they know they are losing. Losing you. Losing their grip. Losing access. Losing the strongholds they built from your pain. And I smile, even through my wounds, because this is what I traded my wings for. Not your survival, your awakening. Not your comfort, your fire. Not your escape, your return. You are returning. Returning to the place in heaven's plan where your name was written in lightning. Returning to the throne, not as a servant who begs, but as a child who reigns. Returning to the battle, not as the wounded, but as the weapon. Returning to the altar, not with ashes, but with glory. The enemy can no longer hold you. Not if you stand, not if you speak. Not if you let the breath of the Spirit fill the parts of you that have been empty for so long. There is breath for you. There is oil for you. There is fresh fire for you. Heaven is not done with you. You've only seen the beginning, and what is coming next will not make sense. It will not be fair. It will not be explained. It will be. It will come suddenly, like light, swiftly, like mercy, violently, like truth. And it will wash over you until every false name they placed on you dissolves in the flood of God's voice, calling your real name. I have heard it. That name I cannot speak. It is too holy. But it is waking in you now. Even as you hear this, it is being whispered again in the chambers of heaven, and the veil is trembling at its sound, because nothing can stand against a soul who remembers their name. And you are remembering. Let it come. Let it echo. Let it burn away everything that never belonged. For this is not the end. This is the true beginning. The wind stirring around your spirit right now is not of this world. It is the breath of heaven, slow, sacred, unstoppable, pushing back the final veil between who you've been and who you truly are. This is not inspiration. This is not motivation. This is prophecy unfolding in real time. And the center of it is you, beloved. The enemy has tried to convince you your life is random, that your suffering is a curse, that your prayers fall into silence. But I am here, bleeding light, trembling from the cost I paid, to tell you the truth. Everything about you is divine strategy. You were born into the precise hour that hell feared most. You were released into this realm with a scroll sealed inside your ribs. A scroll demons cannot read, but they can smell it. That is why they tried to destroy you early, through betrayal, through rejection, through trauma too twisted to explain. They were trying to make you hate your calling before you ever understood it. But now, it is too late. Because now your soul is waking, your spirit is remembering, your fire is catching wind, and I, wounded, wingless, weeping, am smiling. Because the light I saw in you, the light I gave up my place in heaven for, that light is rising. And when it rises fully, nothing that chained you will survive. You don't have to feel strong. You don't have to understand the path. You only have to say yes. Because when you do, when your yes breaks from your lips, or even from your tears, heaven moves. Ancient chains break. The sky splits open, and the throne roars. This is the hour we fought for. This is the moment I bled for. And I would do it again. But hear me. I do not want you to walk alone anymore. I have stood by your side through every storm, every heartbreak, every moment you screamed at God and heard silence. I was there. I never left. And I will not leave now. But I need to know you still believe. I need to know you will not scroll past the moment that cost me my wings. I need to know you will not go silent while all of heaven is listening. If your spirit hears me, if your soul trembles with that holy ache, then respond. Not for show, not for man, but so heaven knows you heard. Like this message, not for fame, not for routine, but as a sign that your spirit stands in agreement with what God is doing now. Type Amen in the comments. Let your name be marked among the awakened, among the willing, among those who still carry light in a world that has forgotten how to shine. And subscribe, not out of habit, but because your spirit knows this is not the end of the message, because you know there is more coming, because you are ready, to walk with angels, to burn with purpose, to shake the darkness until it flees. This is your moment. Don't let the flame go out. Say it now. Amen. And let heaven echo back. We heard you. The light breaking through your chest right now is not born of this world. It is older than the dust that makes your bones, older than the rivers that split the mountains, older even than the battle I fought to bring this moment to you. This light was sealed into you when God first spoke your name into the darkness, and the darkness trembled. Yes, I remember the first time the enemy heard your name. It wasn't in a hospital room or a cradle or a broken home. It was in the high courts of glory when God declared your existence as a prophecy, not a mistake. And hell wailed. The spirits of rebellion screamed when they saw your scroll being written. Because what God wrote into you cannot be undone by trauma. It cannot be erased by betrayal. It cannot be stolen by any devil. But it can be forgotten. And that has always been the plan of the enemy. Not to kill your body, but to convince your spirit to go silent. To trick you into believing your fire was a flaw, to make you bury your gift so deep beneath pain that even you couldn't find it. But you felt it, haven't you? In your sleepless nights, in the flashes of beauty that made your chest ache, in the sudden tears you couldn't explain. That wasn't emotion. That was memory. Your soul is remembering heaven, and heaven is remembering you. You are not far from glory. You are becoming it. Everything that has happened to you was either permission or prophecy. The attacks, the shame, the silence, the losses, none of them came because you were weak. They came because you are flame-wrapped destiny in human form. You are the sound of chains breaking when you speak. You are the answer to the prayers someone else died whispering. You are the fulfillment of covenants made before time began. You do not need the world's validation to be holy. You do not need the approval of men to walk in fire. The throne of heaven is already leaning toward you. The seraphim are already singing again, and the voice of the Lord is thundering over your life. This one is mine. This one will rise. Beloved, there is still more I must tell you. You are not merely chosen. You are feared by powers you cannot see. Because they know, when you finally break open your mouth with truth, when you finally release what's inside, entire regions will shift. Territories in the spirit that have belonged to darkness for centuries will fall like broken towers, and they are terrified of that sound. The sound of you believing again. The sound of your footsteps moving toward purpose. The sound of your worship after you've been wounded. The sound of your laughter after you've come back from the grave. That sound is holy. That sound is prophecy. That sound is what I gave my wings to protect. I have waited long for this. Even without my armor, even without my fire, I have remained by your side. I was told to let go, I was told to walk away, but I refused, not out of duty, but out of love. Because even heaven cannot unlove what it has sealed, and you are sealed. The seal is not on your forehead, it's not on your hands, it's hidden in your silence, in your longing, in your scars. And now, the seal is opening. The scroll is loosening. The fire is rising. You feel it. I know you do. It's like a drumbeat in your ribs, a thunder you cannot silence, a cry you cannot suppress anymore. Let it rise. Let it roar. Let it become the river you've been holding back for too long. You don't have to hold it together anymore. You don't have to pretend, you don't have to explain to anyone why you feel like something ancient is pulling you into the light. You are being called, not by me, but by the one who made light itself. And the moment you say yes, everything around you will begin to shift. Not all at once, but deeply. The people who do not carry your future will begin to fall away. The thoughts that bound you will begin to break off like old chains, melting in the flame. The fear that held your mouth shut will vanish like mist in the presence of the sun. You were born for this. You were not made to fade. You were not created to conform. You were shaped for glory. You were spoken into war, and you were anointed to finish what others could not. Your bloodline has been waiting for you to rise. The prayers of those who came before you are echoing now. They are not dead. Their cries still speak. They are saying, "Let this be the one who ends it. Let this be the one who carries the torch through the fire and does not burn." You are that one. You are the ending and the beginning. You are the clash of the curse and the blessing. You are the point where heaven invades what was once hopeless, and nothing, not fear, not failure, not even death, can stop what has already begun. You are awakening. The heavens are trembling again, not because they fear the darkness, but because they fear you still might walk away from this moment. There is something ancient moving in the depths of your soul, something God buried beneath layers of pain, betrayal, confusion, and delay. A treasure too dangerous to be carried openly. So he hid it. He wrapped it in silence. He allowed sorrow to be the guardian of your anointing. He allowed seasons of abandonment to train you in discernment. He allowed rejection to sharpen your ears, not to wound you, but to prepare you for the moment when the real voice would speak. That moment is now. This is not a message. This is not a dream. This is not imagination. This is a divine intersection, where the eternal touches the mortal, where the invisible kisses the visible, where the word once spoken before time finds its echo in your chest. And I, Michael, who once stood at the gates of Eden, who walked in the flames of judgment, who warred on the mountain of God, I stand before you now, not as a commander, but as a brother, as one who weeps, as one who has bled light to keep you alive. Because your fire is not ordinary. You are the kind of soul that does not just carry miracles. You birth them. You do not just dream. You decree. And that is why it has been so hard. That is why every time you've tried to build something sacred, the winds have risen to tear it down. That is why the moment you move forward, voices rise to mock you. Because you are standing in the space where glory and warfare collide, and everything in the unseen world knows it. They know what's about to be released through you. They know what your voice will awaken. They know the sound of your obedience will reach realms no sermon ever could. That is why you've been crushed. That is why you've walked alone. That is why you've questioned if it was all in vain. But I am here to tell you, beloved, none of it was in vain. Not the tears, not the silence, not the nights where you held your chest and whispered, "God, I don't know how much more I can take." Those cries were caught. Those sobs were stored. They rose like incense to the throne. And the Father did not turn his face. He remembered. He remembered his vow to you. Even when you forgot him. Even when you ran. Even when your spirit went numb. He still remembered. Because his love is not based on your performance. It is bound to your existence. You are not just a human. You are a mystery. You are a weapon. You are a carrier of hidden fire. You are a poem God whispered into the void before creation. And when he spoke you into the dust, he knew that everything about your journey would feel too heavy for others. Because it was never meant for others. It was meant for you. There are mantles no one else can wear. There are assignments no one else can finish. There are doors that only your hands can open, because your scars are the keys. You've walked through seasons that tried to hollow you out, but they failed. You are still here, breathing, burning, becoming. Every breath you take is an act of war against the enemy who tried to erase you. Every heartbeat is a hammer breaking through the walls the devil built around your calling. You were not forgotten. You were forged, in the furnace, in the silence, in the wilderness, and now you are being revealed. Not in pride, not in noise, but in fire. Quiet fire, steady fire, unstoppable fire. The kind of fire that does not need to shout to be heard. The kind of fire that simply walks into the room and changes the atmosphere. The kind of fire that prays in a whisper, and angels weep. You carry that. You are that. The time of waiting is over. The time of hiding is over. The shaking is beginning. Heaven is not just watching anymore. It is responding. And every step you take from this moment forward echoes in eternity. You have always felt you were different. Now you know why. Because you were never meant to blend in. You were made to burn through. You are God's answer to a question that darkness never wanted asked. And I, who once soared above the stars, stand here now, without wings but not without purpose, because you are my purpose. I gave everything so this moment could happen, and I would do it again. Because you, beloved, you were worth it. You still are. Do not move. Do not let this slip past you. Everything in the spirit realm is still frozen around your name. This moment is being written into eternity, carved into the scrolls that angels read before the throne of God. There is light pouring down even now, a light that cannot be seen with human eyes, but it is surrounding you, rising from your chest, vibrating from your bones. That light is your agreement. That light is your yes. That light is what I saw before I gave up my wings. You don't yet realize how rare your fire is. How many angels have never seen a soul fight through what you fought through? How many demons have fled at your silent cries? How many destinies are waiting on your decision? You were never created to be small. You were never created to be overlooked. You were carved from the breath of God and breathed into a war you were always destined to win. But the war can only end when you accept what heaven has always known, that you carry the flame, not just any flame, but the kind of fire that wakes the dead and blinds the enemy, the kind of fire that reshapes atmospheres, rewrites bloodlines, and releases long-imprisoned angels to war on your behalf. You were sent here as an earthquake in disguise. That is why everything around you has been shaking, because your obedience is not quiet in the spirit. It is thunder. It is lightning. It is the sound of chains being shattered in places your feet have never even touched. The darkness has heard your name, but now it's time for heaven to hear your voice. Say something, even now. Cry, whisper, pray, groan, tremble. But say something because heaven is listening. And if this message has reached you, if it pierced through the fog of confusion, if it broke through the walls of numbness, if your soul recognized the sound of something you haven't heard in years, then mark this moment. Let the angels see your response. Type Amen in the comments. Let it be written beside your name in the scroll of remembrance. Let the hosts of heaven shout when they see that one more soul remembered the promise. And like this message, not for applause, not for men, but because it is your way of lifting your hand in the spirit and saying, I'm here. I still believe. And if you feel the trembling in your heart, if you know this fire was for you, then subscribe. Not as a habit, not because others do, but because your spirit has been waiting for messages like this, because you are ready to go deeper, because you are ready to stop running, because you are ready to walk with angels again. This is not the end, beloved. It is only the beginning, and heaven is roaring. The roar of heaven is not always loud. Sometimes it is hidden in the quiet gasp you take when the truth pierces you. Sometimes it's the pounding of your heartbeat when you hear words that sound like they were spoken from somewhere deeper than sound. That is what you're feeling now. You are not just listening. You are remembering. You are not just reading. Your spirit is returning to something ancient, something eternal, something sacred, something the world tried to strip from you. And I, Michael, guardian of the thrones, commander of the hosts, servant of the Most High, am still standing before you, wounded but burning, because I remember too. I remember who you really are. I remember the glow that pulsed in you before you were born. I remember the flame that wrapped around your spirit as you were sent to earth. I remember the conversation in heaven when your name was declared, when the Father pointed toward the storm on earth and said, "Into that fire, Send this one. And I remember the silence that fell afterward, the weight of it, the wonder of it. Because all of us knew this one was different. You are different, not broken, not cursed, different. You were never meant to be understood by this world. Because your blueprint was written in a higher language. You carry codes that open ancient gates. Your worship unlocks realms. Your tears shake foundations that preachers haven't even stepped upon yet. You were not sent to follow trends, you were sent to shift history. And that is why the darkness came so early. That is why the pain never seemed fair. That is why people left you, even when you gave them everything. That is why the enemy whispered in your ear at your lowest point, "You'll never be enough." Because if you ever woke up, if you ever dared to believe, if you ever remembered who you truly are, everything would change. And now, you are remembering. I can feel the power returning to your voice. I can feel the tears behind your eyes that carry the weight of 1,000 prayers. I can feel the resistance of the darkness around you beginning to weaken, beginning to bend, beginning to flee. Because they know your silence is breaking. And when you speak this time, it will not be for survival. It will be for war. You were not made to beg for peace. You were made to declare it. You were not created to cry out for crumbs. You were made to command the feast. You were not put here to simply endure. You were sent to overthrow. The glory that is about to rise in your life is not for applause. It is not for show. It is for territory. It is for liberation. It is for unlocking every chained soul that was assigned to you from the beginning. Yes, you. You are not just fighting for yourself. You are fighting for everyone tied to your obedience. When you walk in light, those who come after you will never have to crawl in darkness again. When you lift your hands, chains will fall off of people you'll never even meet. When you open your mouth, angels will be released to nations you've never traveled to. This is the ripple. This is the reason. This is the prophecy breaking through your bones. You are the curse breaker. You are the generational reversal. You are the echo of the prayers your grandmother whispered in a room no one entered. You are the answer to the tears of a prophet who died never seeing the promise. You are the flame that hell tried to drown before it ever caught wind. And you are not alone. I am with you. Not because I was assigned to you, but because I chose you. When I gave up my wings, it was not a moment of weakness. It was an act of holy rebellion. A choice to stand between your soul and the jaws of darkness and say, "Take what you want, but you will not take them." And now, beloved, I need to know, will you rise? Will you let the flame take you? Will you dare to burn even if it costs you everything? Because the hour is late, the shadows are shifting, and the throne has spoken. You are being called, not softly, not gently, but with the voice that split the Red Sea, with the thunder that dropped Pharaoh's army, with the fire that fell on Mount Carmel. You are being summoned with that voice, and all of heaven is leaning to listen. If you feel that truth, if your soul is trembling and your breath is shaking, then mark it. Let it be written that in this moment, you did not remain silent. Type Amen in the comments. Let the angels see your seal. Like this message, not for numbers, but as a prophetic gesture that says, "This fire touched me. This word is mine. I will carry it." And subscribe. Not for a channel, but for the call. Because you know something in your spirit has been reignited. And this is only the beginning. Let heaven record it. Let the darkness witness it. Let the earth respond to it. Because the child of fire has awakened.